Yo, YouTube, what's good? I'm back with another Fire Mage video. In this one, I'm just gonna go over it real quick, hopefully real quick, as to which talents you're gonna take. I did just release a rotation guide, but I didn't really go in depth on the talents and what talents you should be changing every now and then. And that's kind of a very important part in World of Warcraft for all classes, is knowing when to switch out talents in certain matchups. So I'm just gonna go over some of the really common ones. I'm not gonna go over every individual talent because you don't change out a whole lot of them, to be honest. So just the really common ones that people ask me about, I'm gonna try to cover them in this video. So Incanter's Flow versus Rune of Power. You never really take Rune of Power. First of all, it's being removed pretty soon. Incanter's Flow is just better though, because with Flame Cannon, if you guys don't know what Flame Cannon is, it basically means as long as you're 15 yards from any target, you're gonna be getting a stacking buff, which makes you do more damage and be tankier. It's also gonna increase your range on your fire spells as well. And in order to upkeep this as long as you can't really be stationary. So Rune of Power is very gimmicky. It does put down a combust on your, or it does put down a Rune of Power on your combust, which is going to increase the damage of combust. But I think the damage is also very high on combustion anyways, and you're spending way more time in the game outside of combust. So it doesn't make sense to talent into something that is going to just make that little tiny window stronger when it's already super strong. So that's why we're going Incanters. Another super popular one, actually this one isn't very popular. I kind of changed my train of thought here, but I kind of want to give you guys a little tech change that sometimes I use here. So first thing you can do, basically the one I'm talking about, is Arcane Warding. And what I'll do is I'll play this over these two, Tempest and Mirror Image. So let's say, for example, and this is a huge thing in the current meta. So versus caster cleaves, like let's say Ellie Shaman and Demonology Warlock, or Affliction Warlock, or Boomkin Ellie Shaman, you know, something where it's double caster, Shadow Priest, Boomkin, you know, these really heavy magic damage classes. Tempest Barrier, we're only ever taking this because it's nice purge protection. It's not actually going to absorb that much damage. Same thing with Mirror Images. It's not really that good of a defensive cooldown, even though it sounds like it. It's like, oh wow, your images are active, and when you take damage, you're getting reduced 20%. But Mirror Images is definitely the worst defensive in the game, especially considering that they kind of all just die instantly. So if you're ever getting that 20% damage reduction, it's usually only for about 1 second. And into these kind of rot damage casters, these casting classes who leaves dots on you the whole game basically, you're not going to get too much value out of any of these. So I think just having the 4% magic damage reduction versus these is going to be pretty helpful. Like I said, it's not game breaking, but it's a little tech change that you can make on your tree that's going to help you out just a little bit. So that's going to be another one. The next one I'm going to go with is Shimmer versus Ice Floes. So this is a huge topic. People ask me about this all the time. Well, I'm actually going to have a dedicated video for this in the future, so stay tuned for that. Just to kind of cover it shortly here, basically the difference, if you guys don't know, between these already, is with Shimmer, it teleports you 20 yards, it's a 23-second recharge, and it is unaffected by the global cooldown, and you can do it while moving. So just for example, you can Shimmer while you're casting a fireball. So if I'm here, I think he's going to interrupt me, I Shimmer backwards on midway through my cast, and it puts me at a better distance. And you have 2 charges. So this is my favorite thing to play. I think playing Shimmer makes Mage way more fun, and it makes it to where you can actually kind of outplay people. It makes it to where you can actually keep that distance with Flame Cannon, makes it to where you can get casts off way more. So I would recommend playing Shimmer into a lot of the matchups. One thing I'll say, just so you guys don't kind of like play Shimmer and then think it feels bad, is never commit both of your charges at the same time. So let's say like you're kiting a melee, for example. A lot of people think that Blink Stun is just better into all the melees because you can get out of stuns. One thing, like I said, I'm going to make a video about this that talks about it really in depth, but just to cover it briefly here, if you have a melee on you, you just want to use the 1 charge, and then if they get to you, that leaves you with your 2nd charge. I think a thing I see a lot of lesser experienced mages do is they'll just waste both the charges, and then, you know, the warrior will use his 1 leap, and then he'll get to you. Whereas if you kind of space the charges out, and then he gets to you, you can alter and shimmer again, he'll charge you again, and then you can shimmer back. Now you have both of your charges back. He uses another one. Now you finally got away. He ran out of options, and you can keep that distance. So you have to play a bit more finesse. Definitely use the shimmer charges early when they're on you. Don't, like, let's say a warrior charges you, it's probably good to shimmer like as soon as he gets to you, instead of kind of like tanking some of the damage. You want to make sure that you're using your shimmer charges early on the melee classes that are connecting to you. And then into casters, this is really good too, because like I said, you have that 45-yard range. You can go in, get that flame cannon rolling, so you can see I'm in combat, and then once it starts to stack, you can you know, I actually dropped combat there somehow. And then once you get those stacking, it helps you keep that 55-yard range even easier, because the second they start to like push on you, you can obviously shimmer back, and it just helps you keep that range. And if let's say you do have that 55-yard range like this, let's say maybe they start walking backwards to force you to come forward, then you can guarantee still get that cast off. So like I said, I think it makes the game way more playable, but that's my personal opinion, is that I really like, and I think a lot of the other mages do this as well. You'll only see a lot of the high rated mages running Ice Floes, and this they're only going to run this into certain matchups. So I believe Shimmer is like the permalock, and then you'll want to run Ice Floes into certain stuff. I'll try to cover briefly right now what I believe you'll run Shimmer into. Like I said, later I'm going to make a really in-depth video about it, but as of right now, I think a good class to run it into is Sub Rogue and Demon Hunter. I don't really like it into anything other than that. You could play it into an Assassination Rogue as well in 3v3. I would do that. So like Sub Rogue, Assa Rogue, and Demon Hunter are the three that I usually always switch it into. However, I don't always switch it into Assassination. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit situational. I won't go over it now. Briefly, I guess, like, the thing that could be said is that Assassination has a shorter step range, so it's easier to keep that range. So sometimes I play Shimmer, which usually makes them not able to go on me in the first place, unless it's a smaller map, or it's in threes, like coordinated threes, not shuffle, where their teammate is going to be able to help the rogue get to me by either slowing me or rooting me in place, or just doing something like that. So yeah, basically that's what I have to say so far. Oh, and I forgot to mention the normal blink. It lets you blink out of stuns. You only have one charge. It has a slightly shorter cooldown, but you also gain Ice Floes, which is kind of like just lets you cast while moving. So you use the one charge, and then now I can just cast while moving until that charge is gone, which is, it gets consumed whenever you get that cast off. So yeah, that's gonna be the Ice Floes versus Shimmer. Hope you guys kind of learned something there. Another change you will make here, so I will tell you guys now how to get heal block. So I don't play with Cryo-Freeze baseline, and I'll explain this now. Is that basically when you're playing threes and you have a healer, you don't need Cryo-Freeze. You're gonna much rather, because basically when you get Cryo-Freeze, what you're gonna lose is you're gonna lose Imp Nova, which is 2 seconds off your Frost Nova. This with 2 charges of Nova is going to be a big deal. And then Haste 2% is going to make your stat line feel a lot more clean. You can see here I'm rocking the 30% Haste, basically 15% Mastery, and the 30% First as well. So your stats are going to be a little bit worse with this. This is going to make your Fire Blast cooldown a little bit longer. Your globals are going to be a little bit longer. It's going to feel a little bit worse to play without this. So like I said, you don't need heal block. However, if you're playing without a healer in 2v2, then this is how you would get heal block. You would take the 1 out of Tempest, you would put it into Tome of Ronin, you would take out Tome of Antonius, Imp Nova, and then you would go 2 in Cryo, and then you can fill in the tree from there. So yeah, you're going to lose that Haste, you're going to lose that Purge Protection, and you're going to lose the improved Frost Nova, but then you'll get the heal block. Like I said, I only do this in 2v2 without a healer, but yeah, that's how you get that. Over here, you pretty much never change anything else besides that. I never am speccing that as slow, so it's a great tool for kiting melees. Over here, you're never really changing anything either, honestly. The only thing sometimes I change is I'll take out the Execute Scorch and I'll put it into Flamestrike, and then I'll fill out the rest of the tree. And the only reason I do this sometimes is into a Resto Druid and 3v3 at very high ratings or in like tournaments and stuff. Resto Druids can actually drink in stealth, so if I see that they're doing that, I can drop a Flamestrike on them with my Pyro proc. Because Hot Streak actually makes it to where whenever you Flamestrike, it'll be instant cast. I'll show you here. So if I have a proc, I can use Flamestrike, and I can immediately stop the Druid from drinking behind the pillar, put him in combat. But yeah, those are the only changes that you really make on your tree. So it's not very much. We kind of have it easy on Mage. We have a lot of like, or it's kind of just like a plug and play build. You're not changing too much. PvP talents, like I said, I'm never really changing these either. I do play this lineup pretty much baseline. However, if I'm playing sub RMP in 3v3, I'll actually take Pyrokinesis instead of Ring of Fire. But in every other situation, we're taking these. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you want me to do more stuff like this or for the other specs as well. Maybe when the rework hits, I'm definitely going to be going over a lot of those stuff, a lot of those talents and guides and whatnot. So stay tuned for those. Check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Aeghis. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.